In this video, we are going to talk about code-ready containers, which is an OpenShift implementation for local environments like Mac or Windows or Linux systems. So in this video, I will tell you how to set up CRC on your Mac and also get a almost full-fledged OpenShift environment for your development and testing purposes. So let's get started. So go to this website, codereadygithub.io CRC, and read through this page to understand the system requirements to install CRC on your Mac or Windows or Linux system. On Mac particularly, you will need 4 virtual CPUs. Your Mac should have at least a quad-core or 8-core processor, and so you should have 4 virtual CPUs without any problems. An 8 gig of memory is required, and at least about 35 gigabytes of storage space is also required to install CRC. And then you go to this link, latest release of code ready containers, and download CRC. And not only that, you have to get something called pull secret. So let's see how that can be done. So let me click on this latest release of code ready containers, and it is part of Red Hat account, so you have to log in to Red Hat with your Red Hat account. So let me do that. I hope my password is correct. So here it is. And I'm going to set it up on my Mac, so I will download this package, the CRC macOS AMD64 tar exe file, and also I will click on copy pull secret. So this pull secret is required later on while setting up CRC or starting CRC. So let me click on this download, and it is downloading, and also the pull secret, and it is also getting downloaded. Now let us go and unzip the downloaded packages and also try to set it up and start CRC as well. So how do I do that? Let me go to the directory where I downloaded. So now I'm going to unzip the downloaded CRC macOS AMD64.tar.exe file. I downloaded it into my directory documents on CRC. So I'm going to use tar -xvzf and then the CRC zip file. It is unzipping CRC utility. So here it is. The next step is to run CRC Setup. The CRC Setup does quite a few things, and I'll go through them one by one. So let me change directory to this 1.2 directory. The first step is to run the CRC Setup. It is recommended that the CRC tool should be placed somewhere in a path variable directory, but I'm not going to do that. I will continue to execute CRC as /CRC. So this setup will copy the CRC utility in a separate directory, the hypervisor image of CRC in a separate directory called .crc under my home directory, and also it will create a resolver directory under etc and then a file called testing under that. It will also modify the etc host file. So make sure you have administrative privileges on this Mac when you run CRC Setup. So here it is. It is asking for password for this Mac because it's going to modify several files. Okay, now the setup is complete. So first of all, let's see what exactly it did in the HC resolver testing directory. So let me go to HC resolver. This is a new directory created by the CRC tool, and it created a file called testing. Let me look into that. It basically set up a DNS server. So the CRC has a built-in DNS server in it, and here is the configuration for that. The name server will be 192.168.64.9. And then let's see what exactly it did to the host file. So it basically added this entry, CRC API CRC testing for 192.168.64.9. So we will be using this later on to launch OpenShift, CRC version of OpenShift locally on this machine. So now the next step is to start CRC. So let me go back to wherever I downloaded CRC. So here it is, and then I'm going to be running CRC Start. So this is going to prompt me for the pull secret that we downloaded earlier. So let me make sure contents of the pull secret are copied to my clipboard. Let me take care of that. So the entire pull secret file that I downloaded is now in clipboard. Now I'm going to run CRC Start. See, it's asking for image pull secret. So let me do paste and hit enter. So this is going to take a while. So what's happening here is since I used HyperKit as the hypervisor, it is launching that hypervisor with an image with CRC HyperKit 428 CRC bundle image. So this file, we can take a look at it again after this is done. It's under .crc directory under my home directory. And this file was created by CRC Setup that we executed a moment ago. So when this is complete, we should be able to launch OpenShift console and also able to execute several OC commands. And we should also be able to run utilities like CRC Status or CRC version to see if everything is okay, and also to make sure its version is what we want. And then finally, we should be able to run a utility called CRC IP to find out what IP got associated with the VM created by CRC Start, which is running right now. And then we should be able to SSH into the VM created by the CRC as well. And how do we do that? Is what we will see in a moment. So the start is now complete, and as you can see, it has a lot of useful information, and you have to copy and preserve these things. First of all, the OC login method, so save it somewhere safely so you can execute it later on whenever you want. And similarly, the password for kubeadmin, so save this somewhere. so that you can use it later on. And now let us take a look at quite a few things. So first of all, I'm going to run the CRC status and see if everything's okay. The CRC VM is up and running, and the disk usage is so and so. And I'm going to run the CRC version. Make sure it is whatever version that you're looking for. Let me run the CRC status again. OpenShift is in stopped state. I do not know what that means, so let's take a look at it. So another important thing about CRC is the SSH access into it. So let me run the CRC IP. So this is the IP address assigned to the VM created by CRC Start. So now here is how I can SSH into it. So this is very important. I'm going to use the private key associated with CRC, and that is in machines CRC ID underscore RSA file. This is what it is. And then the user ID is core at 192.168.64.11. So I'm going to say yes. I am inside the VM, the HyperKit VM started by CRC. So let me run IPA. So these are the humongous number of interfaces created by this guy, and here is the interface that we are interested in. Here is the IP address, and it also creates some container network interface, the CNI 0, which we will take a look at it later on. And most importantly, here is the interface 10.128.0.1. So this will act like a gateway for pods. So later on we are going to be creating pods, and each pod will be associated with an IP like 10.128.0, 10 or 10.128.1.15, whatever. And look at the IP configuration. The net mask is 23. So what this 23 means, the net mask is 255.255.254.0, because the number of high bits in this binary equivalent is 23. So this means this network is created to provide 512 IPs, starting from 10.128.0.1, which is already taken by this gateway, to 10.128.1.255. The last IP is taken as a broadcasting IP anyway. So 512 IPs have been assigned to this network, and let us take two of them off, one for the gateway and one for broadcast. That means you can create 254, 53 I should say, pods, in my opinion. Okay, so now there's one more thing to talk about. Let me get out of this VM. OCENV. So when I execute it, it is telling me how to add the OC command to the path. So if you do not want to key in the entire path whenever you run OC, you can do this. Add it to the path. And from now on I can say OC status, or I should first of all log in. and I preserved the login statement as I mentioned a moment ago. I will be logging in as cube admin, or I can log in as developer as well. So here it is. I will be logging in as a developer and see what happens. So I'm logged in. Now I can say OC status will show me I cannot execute OC get parts. So now let me log in as cube admin with appropriate password. So I'm in, and I can say OC status or OC get parts. There are no parts created yet. So let me run this CRC status because previously when I ran CRC status, the Kubernetes was not up and running. The OpenShift was not up and running. But let's see if I run it again. I already did a moment ago, and here it is. So OpenShift takes a while to up and running. So that is why it was showing as stopped previously. So the CRC VM is up and running, and OpenShift is also running. So let's see how to launch Kubernetes console, or I should say OpenShift CRC console. So there are two options. One is I can either run CRC console, or I can enter the URL directly into the browser's URL window. So I can say CRC console and hit enter, or I can go to the browser, create a new tab, and then enter the URL. So console-openShift-console.apps-crc.testing/dashboards. So I'm going to hit enter, and it is going to prompt for the login. I will log in as cube admin, and I need the password for cube admin that I preserved earlier. So here it is. So I am in. So later on we are going to be deploying an application and also expose it to the outside world so that I can launch it from the same browser or some other browser. Okay, let's take a look at this one more time in detail. So here is my MacBook Pro, and I installed CRC on top of it, and when I did CRC setup, it created the CRC HyperKit 428 CRC bundle image from CRC download, and it is staged initially under .crc directory, and then when I did CRC Start, the HyperKit hypervisor started, and this time the image got moved to cache directory, and from there the VM got loaded. Another view of the same thing, and the CRC created an internal DNS server. We saw this file. It's the resolver testing file containing this DNS setup. And then the CRC bundle got an IP address of 192.168.64.11, and under this VM we also saw a gateway got created 10.128.0.1, and we went through all the details a few minutes ago. And there is a bridge created under MacBook directly, 192.168.64.1, and this is acting like a kind of a NAT for pods and also the CRC bundle VM to communicate to the external world. So now let us go to the command line and then look at the same thing again. So here it is. In the cache directory, the CRC hyperkit port 28 CRC bundle got copied over, and from this is where the hyperkit launched the VM. Let's see what is inside this directory. It contains the qcow2 file got created by the CRC Start. This is the hard disk for the VM, and the corresponding kernel files, the init ramfs and the vmlenz files. You can see the kernel version 4.18 is used for CRC VM. The kubeadmin password is also stored here. You can take a look at it, which is the same thing I preserved earlier. And then the kubeconfig, the configuration file for launching Kubernetes. And interestingly, there is an equivalent file under machines directory also. So I'm in .crc machines directory, and here's the CRC VM, and it contains almost similar. So here's the hard disk used for the VM, and also the kubeconfig file copied again. And here is the ID RSA and ID RSA pub files. So this is how I'm able to SSH into the VM. I hope this helps to understand CRC practical. So this is a very good overview of OpenShift on your Mac in the form of CRC. In a later video, we will be talking about how to create applications and how to expose that application to outside world and all that. So stay tuned, and we will be seeing you in another video. Bye for now.